Hello YouTube, tiny house people and gardeners everywhere. Chris here in the Ozarks. We're here in the middle of June, so it's time for the garden update. And let's take a look around and see, because we have made quite a few changes just in the last couple of weeks. So normally I'd start at the other end and walk through the gate, but here we are going to start at this end of the garden, because what we've done is we have pulled all those peas that were along the fence here. Reason for that being that the weather forecast was just going to get hotter and hotter. It's hotter than blazes right now for this time of the morning. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's, I'm already breaking a sweat just coming out here. So we knew the peas wouldn't produce much more, so we just harvested what we had. Going to put the young tiny ones into stir fries and stuff like that, and the larger ones we shelled. And you know, like it's been so far this season, the peas just didn't make it into the house. So it's a terrible time to grow peas, but that means it's an excellent time to grow melons. So that's what we've done, is we pulled out the peas and we have substituted in part melons. Now, we also had planted some Malabar spinach, which we'll get down a little bit closer here in just a moment and take a look at. And some of that Malabar spinach, of course, was getting good light in areas where there were no peas, but it was getting terrible light underneath the peas, and so some of it's a little behind, but we'll show you what that looks like. It gives us a great opportunity to look at that Malabar spinach here in just a couple of stages of development, so you can kind of see what that looks like. But let's start out here with the melons. Now, what we've done here with the melons is to take a 5-gallon grow bag, and we got those from growbaggardensystems.com from Larry Hall, and we have put an individual, there's a couple that have 2 plants in them, where I'm going to see how that works, in of course a potting mix, a very nice rich potting mix. And then what we've done is we've set the grow bag down inside a bucket, and that's probably about I'm going to guess about a 2 to 3 gallon bucket, 2.5 gallon bucket. And then what we've done, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is, well, let me just lift it up here. There is a drain hole here about a 1/2 inch or so above the bottom on the inside, measured from the inside. And what we do is we just keep this thing full of about a 1/2 inch of water. And then what we're doing is we just let that drain out into the garden. It's not a big deal. And you want to try to keep it fairly level. But what that's going to do is allow us to continually feed this plant. So we'll be using some liquid fertilizers. You can use whatever you want, organic, inorganic, compost tea, whatever suits your fancy you can use. And we'll just occasionally feed it, because this grow bag is probably not big enough to hold all the nutrients for a melon. Now, these are melons. When I say melons, I should explain what we have growing here. These first 10 here along the fence, as I pan across, those are white Crenshaws. And then, no, take that back, my mistake. These are white ananas, okay? And it's a melon that grows fairly good size. We're probably talking maybe 8 to 10 pounds, maybe somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's a good sized melon, and it's a white flesh. I guess technically it's kind of like a cross between a cantaloupe and a honeydew, maybe, but it's got a white flesh to it. It's really kind of a neat melon. It is stable. We save the seed and grow these year after year when we have space. Now, as you pan across here, you're going to see that the buckets are not nearly as close together here on the south side of the garden. That's because in the middle we have these boxes, and these boxes have the Malabar spinach in them. But we have 10 ananas white melons. We have 5 white Crenshaw buckets, and then we have 4 Hyagan, which is more like a cantaloupe, or not a cantaloupe, a honeydew. And it's kind of a neat little melon. And we'll kind of, I guess we'll have a video on that at some point, kind of go into these different melons and go into a little more detail, so you can see pictures of what they'll look like when they're done. But the point is, we like to plant melons that you can't just get in the grocery stores. Very rarely do you ever see a white Crenshaw in a grocery store. If you do, it's probably like an $8 melon, a $10 melon. I'm not kidding. This stuff is, they're not really prolific, and they don't ship all that well, so they're not really great for commercial gardening or for commercial markets. So when you do see them, they're usually quite expensive and probably still not any good. Not like the ones that you grow in the garden. So that's the kind of the system that we've got set up here for the melons. We did start these inside as plants under our grow light and then put them out. As you can see, some of them are quite large, and some of them have main stems that are as thick as a pencil. So let's just start right there. Now the rest of this bed right here that this is sitting in, the back 2/3 of this bed is June bearing strawberries, and of course they're all really done now, so that's not a big deal, but they're looking nice and green. And then here in this tote we have shallots. Some of the shallots are doing really well. Some of them are a little wimpy, but you know, hey, that's the way it goes. So there might be a few green onions thrown in there on the side. This next 3 by 3 foot square bed here at the corner is mostly just strawberries. It's also where, if you saw the video we did earlier on radishes, that's also where we had some radishes. But here you can see, and I'll just kind of get down here where you can kind of see it, is we have Malabar spinach. And it doesn't look like much now because it hasn't started vining yet, but it will start vining, and it will crawl this fence, and it'll be up there along with the melons. And here we have stevia in a bucket. We've already been cropping the stevia, that's why it looks kind of cropped off there. We take it and dry it and use it in all kinds of things. And we have probably 8 to 10 different baskets or buckets of blackberries. And you can see the blackberries are just producing right along there. We get a few every now and then. Over here we've just planted, in place of radishes that we pulled, we've planted zucchini. So we have actually 2 hills of zucchini, okay? And now you can see this Malabar spinach right here. Look how small that is. Some of it's putting out its second set of leaves, and that's it. These were planted at the same time as the ones over there. And I'm going to show you some here in a minute that have been getting a lot of light. The ones on the left got a little light from underneath the peas. These were getting virtually no light. So now that the peas are gone, that's the other advantage of pulling the peas, is not only were the peas not going to produce much more, but we now will get production out of things that before were not able to produce. But we'd planted them in anticipation of pulling those peas at some point, and we decided the time was right. And here you can see this doesn't look very good, but it's actually doing okay. It is chard, Swiss chard, multicolor Swiss chard, and you can see it has little leaves coming out. That's because we took all the big leaves and we've been eating them, so that's actually intentional. So they're doing all right. We just now cut those leaves probably within the last couple of days, and they're just now recovering. It's a cut and come again kind of crop. More stevia, more blackberries. This is a big strawberry bed, but it has several things in here of noteworthy. First of all, we have Hungarian hotwex peppers, and apparently there are peppers that are touted to be Hungarian hotwex but are not. These actually are. If you notice, these are growing straight up until they get big enough that they weigh too much, and then they fall over, and they're turning yellow. Hungarian hotwex starts out kind of a pale light green, and they quickly turn to this yellow, and then later on, when they're actually ripening, they'll turn to an orangish red color. But also in this box, we've got 4 of those, and they're really putting on well. But over here, we have Malabar spinach. And I don't know if it's picking up the color or not. See how purple those vines are? The vine actually is, the stems. And then there's also a little bit of purple on the leaves as they get bigger. But right now, that's the stage they're at. Look how much bigger that is than these over here. And the only difference is they were planted at the same time. The only difference is how much light they've been getting. And you can see in this corner we also have Malabar spinach, and that'll all vine and climb the fence along with all of our melons in our buckets. and we'll just have to see how that kind of works. I don't know. We'll see. This is an elderberry plant. We just bought this plant not long ago. It's a big plant. We got this plant for $7.50. That's a pretty good deal on a plant that size. We have another elderberry. It's not nearly as big, but we're just growing those. We're going to take those with us when we go. We'll be changing locations sometime in early 2018. So we'll see how that move goes. We will certainly keep you apprised of all of that as we're moving along. So this is probably the last season that we'll be in this garden location, and we're not sure exactly what all that means. We're still in the process of sorting all that out, buying land, getting a tiny house built, and we'll let you know how all that's going. And when we have something major to show you, we will definitely show you, because that's part of what our site's all about, tinyhousesforall.com. And of course, we really appreciate everyone's support, especially the thumbs up and subscriptions to our YouTube channel and our videos. Every little bit helps, certainly helps give us an emotional and mental boost, and we really appreciate everyone out there that likes our videos and gets something out of them. And certainly we're always glad to have your comments. Send us an email, whatever you'd like to say. We'd like to hear about it. If you have experiences that you'd like to share, by all means share those, because we learn a lot as we go along. Now, this is cucumbers, and they're just about ready to climb, as you can see. I don't know if you can see the tendril there or not. I'm getting in there real close. But as you can see, this thing is ready to climb, and we have plenty of fence space here for that to climb. So we're looking forward to some cucumbers here really soon. Once this thing starts climbing, it should start cranking them out. And then here we have our net. And under the net is cauliflower and kale. And I tell you what, I don't think I've ever seen our cauliflower look this good before. This is the first time that we've ever put it under cover. So excuse my camera work here, but I'm going to lean over and open up the cover just long enough to show you what's underneath there. But look at those leaves. This thing is a good 2 foot tall, and I don't know if you can see or not. This is kind of crazy, but it's really getting close to forming heads. Really getting close to forming some heads. So we've kept that under cover simply because we get the cabbage worms, the little inchworm things, really bad around here. Usually in about a month, in the month of July, when you walk out through the grass here, it'll be just like a cloud of white moths. And those white moths, you can't catch them. They're too fast. I've tried, believe me. You can't catch them, and they just lay eggs everywhere if they're attracted to what's in your garden. So we're really hopeful that this net's going to do the job for that cauliflower. So far, it's looking really good. We haven't had really any bug pressure that we can see at all on those leaves. Those leaves are immaculate. And believe me, around here in the Ozarks, we have every bug known to man. Shield bugs, stink bugs, grasshoppers, cucumber beetles, potato beetles, you name it, it's here. And but right now we're looking at the herb garden, and you can see we had to cut back all that parsley because the parsley was getting a little bit blighted. It was just, the weather has just been too wet for it. And so we cut that back, and as you can see, there's a lot in here. We've got the red veined sorrel right down here. We've been coming again on that. Also on this oregano. And as you can see, we have the basil has come along real nicely. If you saw our last video, looked at the shape the basil was in, it was kind of looking a little ragged there. It didn't like that cold weather. Well, it's plenty hot for it now. And then we have some orange glow. Orange glow is my favorite watermelon. It's an orange watermelon. It's an old Amish heirloom. We save the seed, and it comes back true to form time and time again. And it is, like I said, orange. Those things it's about a 20-pound melon. It's not huge for a watermelon. not like those 100-pound things, but it's very, very seedy. It produces white seeds instead of black seeds. Not just white immature seeds. The mature seeds are white with a couple of little black spots on them, on the edges. But it tastes wonderful. It has such a flowery aroma, and has a beautiful, not super strong, but very sweet taste. And then over here in this corner, I don't know if you can see it, but there is more Malabar spinach. So we have plenty of things here that'll be climbing the fence all over. Over here we have more blackberries. Like I said, we have probably 8 to 10 blackberry plants. I haven't actually counted them, so I'm not sure. We've got more over here. My wife also, Carla, she also picked up a few very little, what are they? They're Japanese maples. That's what they are. And now we have the asparagus. Now the asparagus, we're just letting it go. It's just going ahead and bushing out. The asparagus is really done producing. It was pretty disappointing this time around, but you know, we'll leave it here and let it grow for a while and see what happens. These radishes are going to be ready probably within another week or less. They're looking pretty good. A little bug pressure, but not bad. And then we have some serrano peppers, and these are just getting going. As you can see, it's producing some peppers, and there's actually 3 here. These 2 right here are a little bit smaller. They're kind of getting crowded a little bit by the lavender bush. The lavender bush is just going crazy. The sad part about it is right now I haven't seen any bumblebees on this thing. Normally it would be covered with bumblebees. I have seen lots of mason bees. Haven't seen any bumblebees. Haven't seen any honeybees. I didn't really expect to see any honeybees because the honeybees don't come into the city limits very much, except on the occasional off chance there might be a field of flowers that somebody's planted, but they don't come in very much. But the bumblebees, it's real disappointing not to see the bumblebees out here. But we do have plenty of mason bees. They're very tiny, so I can't hardly even zoom in on them because they're just, they're itsy bitsy, but they'll get bigger as the season goes on. Then over here we have, this is just a variety of peppers. I'm not even for sure on which one most of these are because they're just, I didn't keep track of that. I just planted a bunch of seed, different varieties. I do know we have about 5 or 6, 7 different varieties here, maybe more. Purple Peruvian, there are some black Hungarians, there are some ancho poblanos, peppers like that. Not your super hot peppers. You have some more over here. Not the super hot ones. I like super hot peppers, but I just didn't have the seed, and this was seed that I was old seed I was germinating, so I don't know exactly what proportion all these plants are. And then of course here in the middle that I'm focused on right now is our garlic. We'll be pulling that. This is not the last garlic. This is the most mature garlic. It's really probably ready to come out. But we have some other garlic over in that bed with the shallots that we cropped. We had a video on the shallots that we cropped, or cut back, if you want to see that video, see how to make your shallot and onion bulbs bigger. That's kind of a nice video. And then I've been kind of saving this for later in the video because I'm not going to focus much on this because we just did a video on tending the tomatoes, and so you could get to see the pool system that we have set up here. But we're now at head height on the tallest tomatoes, so they're just going crazy. Of course, I'm winding them around these strings and as they go upward. But the pool system here is really kind of nice because we're able to grow bell peppers. Now these started to get a little bit bit up until I started putting all kinds of stuff on here, pepper sprays, you name it, trying to get these bugs to leave this plant alone. And you can see the new growth is doing really good. So, and the pepper is getting really large. That's probably the worst looking of the bunch. If I come over here, you can see that pepper plant and the next one are doing quite well. They're not really too shaded underneath, I think, underneath the edge of the house here with the tomatoes. As the sun gets high overhead, of course, it it shines in here a lot better. It's still a little early in the morning. But I wanted you to see this, because this is our first tomato plant that has started to put a tomato on that's blushing. Now this tomato is this one right here is actually a red cherry. So you can see it, there's just clusters and clusters of cherry tomatoes up this plant, and it's quite tall. But anyway, that's our first tomato starting to blush. So here it is. Let's see, today is June 13th. So June 13th we have our first tomato turning, and that really is pretty amazing for our climate. This is kind of zone 6, more or less. It's not really the warm zone 6. You could call it the colder zone 6, if you will, zone 6A, I guess they call it. So that's our tomatoes. And then over here, I just wanted to show you our sweet potatoes. I mean, the sweet potatoes are going crazy. We got 6 buckets here, and there's probably a total of maybe, I'm going to say 10 plants. Maybe some of them have several plants in each bucket, a couple of plants in each bucket. And I did this trellis here to have a place for them to crawl up so they wouldn't get out in the path. But this is the first time I've grown these Carolina Reds, but apparently they don't have really long vines. The shorter vine types of sweet potatoes, sometimes their vines don't go out much more than maybe 4 to 6 foot. It really varies a lot from variety to variety. But so far they're not coming out into the paths, so apparently they're not going to get too long. But looks like we're going to have some pretty nice, really nice sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are dry crops, so we don't have to water very often, and we have really good drainage out the bottoms of those buckets because we have them up on stones or concrete blocks, as you can see. So just wanted to show you what we're doing in the garden, what the changes that we've made. All the peas are gone. Let me just pan out here. All of the melons are in their place. Malabar spinach is in its place. Soon this fence, probably by mid-July, this fence will be just completely covered in green. And of course, we'll be here to show you that. But this is Chris here in the Ozarks. Until next time, happy gardening.